So I must say, I absolutely hate to be that guy that cuts it short, but if you want any more time with Rodney as a preferred rate for the McKinsey partner rate, I think that we can arrange for you, but we were starting to take advantage. I talked earlier about the founders of this association in 1959, and I just wanted to add a couple more thoughts on this, what is a momentous anniversary for us. For 60 years, the AESC has helped propel businesses into the future by member firm engagement, education and representation. And I think now the link between the AESC and exceptional corporate leadership is unquestionable. And that's much as the founders intended back in 1959. The $14 billion industry that Karen talked to us about earlier grows and it strengthens. LinkedIn didn't kill us as some thought would. Data privacy laws haven't hurt us like some thought would. It's stronger, it's more sophisticated, and it's more relevant than ever. So we should celebrate the past, we should celebrate those 60 years, but also anticipate the future, because we are the movers of that future. And there are a few more fitting to invite to share their thoughts than our next guest. Russell Reynolds Jr. has been an AESC member longer than anyone. As a member of the board in the 1960s, he served on the earliest planning committees alongside titans of our profession. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Russell Reynolds Jr.
So this is quite an event, 60 years. First of all, I want to thank Karen and Brian for inviting me, luring me back. Very exciting. And I want to congratulate the great group here, 170, 180 people. It's incredible. Our original meetings were in a small table at the Yale Club, and that was the entire association. As was mentioned, I was on the Strategic Planning Committee, which wasn't very strategic, the AERC, now the AESC, with Spencer Stewart, Ward Howell, and Gardner Heydrich. I had no idea what I was doing, why I was there, or where it was going, but they seemed interested in my opinion. It was fun. We did not take ourselves very seriously. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of humor, a lot of jokes, but deep down inside, we really cared about the business. We decided that the important thing were ethical standards, and we actually had an ethics committee, which I refused to be on because I didn't think I was qualified. But the ethics committee actually expelled a couple of people, and we did actually have standards, one of which, of course, was we worked on a retainer and not on a contingent basis. So we also wanted to keep the bad guys out. We knew there were people who cut corners and would oversell and overrepresent. And by the way, I left J.P. Morgan and Company in 1966 at 23 Wall Street, and this turned down an offer from Goldman Sachs and decided to go into the search business because it was unregulated and free enterprise. And I just thought it looked fantastic. My father, when he heard I was leaving the Morgan Bank, which was a much more selected place then than it is now, wondered if I'd been fired, because he couldn't understand why I would go into the search business. 60 years ago, Hawaii became the 50th state. There were maybe 3 or 10 TV channels, and you turned a dial. The space race was just starting. The Sound of Music opened on Broadway. Xerox launched its first copier. The global population was about 3 billion. U.S. GDP was about 3 trillion. It's now about 22 trillion. And the Dow was at 679, and now it's at 26,000. The search business, as you know, has gone from less than $1 billion then to over $14 billion today and is still going strong. When I went in the search business, the problem was acceptance. You mean you take people out of companies? Ooh, people were quite upset about that. One day I was in Greenwich, and Senator Prescott Bush came up to me with furry eyebrows and a very deep voice, a very formidable person, actually. He was a senator at that point, the grandfather of George W. Bush. He said, "Reynolds, on behalf of the Bush family, I want to thank you for doing a great service. You got our nephew, Charlie, a job." And I thought he was going to chew me out, but I suddenly realized maybe I'd done a good thing. And I still feel that way many, many years later. So I think that business has become widely accepted, if not admired. I find talking to CEOs and directors and people who are pretty experienced in the business world are actually attracted by the idea of being in this business, which never would have happened before. So it's come a long way. Now, instead of selling search services and the nice fees we charge to our clients, we have to convince them that our firm is the best and the other people really don't have it. That has become quite difficult and very competitive, and especially given the internal resources that so many companies are using to try to do it themselves. But getting the services of a top headhunter is very competitive. And it's gotten to the point where the really good people are very hard to get, just as they are in investment banking, Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, or in medicine at the hospital for special surgery. So I think that the interest in the business and the demand for our services will increase with time. There are 3 critical ingredients that make up a successful business. One is a really good idea, like McDonald's or Google. The second is money to pay for it, and the third is people to execute the plan. We get the people, and without the people, nothing else works, and I think the world knows that. So as to the future, I think the need is brighter than ever because the need to be objective, to be truthful, to be completely informed has never been greater. Today, many people prepare their own information on social media. You can say almost anything. Finding out the truth is a little harder, especially in the age of political correctness. Increasingly, in a world which is becoming less trusting, objective advice and thorough assessment and a sense for a good fit are more important than ever. With increasing legislation, transparency through social media, and an alert business press, we have to be the most trusted advisors to the business world. We should be just as important to the CEOs of major companies as their lawyer, their banker, their accounting firm, or their partner at McKinsey. So I'd like to compliment the board of the AESC, which has evolved beautifully. There are many hardworking committees that have put in years and years of selfless effort to promote the business. And the management of AESC, which has come a long, long way. I could tell you some horror stories about some of Karen's predecessors. They were all good people, but it's gotten a great deal better. So the other obvious change in the association has been globalization. RSR Partners has a man in Tokyo who's very involved in it, and he keeps telling me I should get more involved. I love it. The other thing is accreditation. Many important steps have been taken to create a feeling of professionalism in this great business, and I hope that will continue. So the AESC also needs to supply constructive criticism, make sure the members do the right thing. And the other thing about the association that I really like is it stands for something good. It stands for positive opportunity, it stands for positive change, and it stands for doing things well, doing first-class business in a first-class way, which I think we all try to do. To me, being in the search business has always been like reading an exciting novel. There's a cast of characters, and sometimes they stay with the company or business, and sometimes they don't. But it's all about them and their lives and how we can make them better. And I found, and I'm sure you have, that some of the most satisfying moments have been not after the third search, but after the third decade of a relationship. It really, really pays off. And the ultimate payment is great friendships and great appreciation. Finally, I'd like to suggest that everybody in this room and all of the people in your great firms get to know each other better. And I don't mean just necessarily to headhunters. I mean to get to know each other, your motivation, your DNA, what your objectives are, because collectively, just as working for the long term in a major corporation makes better results, I think working together as friendly competitors, we will see this great business go from 14 billion to whatever, 100, 200. You know, I've told people two things in hiring them. One is that the only way you can get fired by me immediately is to be dumb, lazy, or dishonest, or to lie, steal, or cheat. And I think that still applies, even more so than ever. The other thing that I try to encourage people to believe is that we are limited only by our own imagination. So when I started my first firm, somebody asked me what the business plan was, and I said, I really don't have one. I'm too busy just trying to do the job. And that is still my mentality. And I think that if we don't wish for too much, we will be more than rewarded, as we have been now and will be in the future. Thanks a lot. And